Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 66 of Preston Jensen's podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Preston. Tonight, Chelsey and I are throwing something together. Chelsey, thanks for coming on to the show. We've got a lot of stuff going on right now. We're pretty busy. I mean, You're starting school tomorrow.
Yep.
No daycare this week, so we've got your grandparents in town watching our daughter, which has been a lot of fun. Our daughter is loving that. But tonight, we just kind of wanted to get on and talk about some new equipment that Chelsey just got that I purchased through a recommendation from Tom Buck, actually. I was listening to one of his podcasts, and he was talking about the Neat microphones. And I also watched a video that he did on it. And the thing that was striking about this microphone is it doesn't look like anything else or any other microphone that you've seen.
Should I show it or no?
Yeah. For those of you who want to see this microphone, if you're just listening to the audio version only, you can go to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe while you're there and check out what this microphone looks like, because if you go to Tom Buck's channel, you should definitely watch the review on the microphone. We're not going to do any reviews on it. We might tell you how it sounds and whatnot, and you can be the judge of that. But he gives a great in-depth review on the actual product. But the weird thing about it is the one I got for Chelsey is actually different than the one Tom Buck is talking about. And it's actually the same exact internal microphone as the one he's talking about, but it looks different. And I think the one that I bought for Chelsey, is that called the Neat Widget C?
C, yeah.
And I think there's two other versions, I'm guessing, A, B, and C. And the reason I got the C is because these microphones are discontinued now. And the C on Amazon, the last time I checked, only had one left. So that's from the seller that I was buying it for. And I thought, oh, well, if there's only one left of this one, I want to get it if it's a little bit more rare. So, Chelsey, what do you think? And
scarcity.
While you're talking a little bit, I've got to adjust the lights. Somehow they got bumped down here. We're really throwing this episode together, and hopefully that's enjoyable to you guys, because all the stuff we're talking about tonight is going to be straight off of our head. Chelsey, go ahead, talk about your initial thoughts, maybe the unboxing experience while I adjust some of these lights down here.
Well, it comes in a big clear box, so you pretty much see what you're getting. Pretty easy to get all set up. I mean, we plugged it into my USB and able to just go to system preferences and pick that this is what I wanted for my my input.
Yep.
And I can't hear anything. I mean, like, I just hear myself talking. So I don't know how I sound, if it sounds better than the headphone mic did before, or how clear it is. So
on my end,
and I won't be listening to the podcast either, because I don't like to listen to myself. So I'm just trusting that it sounds really good.
That's true. I've heard some people listening to the podcast, mainly my nieces and nephews, when I'm around, and it's just kind of cringy. It's like, I don't like to hear myself talk. So I know what you're talking about when you say you don't like to hear yourself talk, but you might have to listen back to this one just so you can hear how your new microphone sounds, at least. But that's the reason I bought that specific one for you. And another nice thing about it, it's not the super expensive microphone. It's $39 is what we paid for it. We'll put a link in the description. Hey, there we go. I like how that came up organically. It's just kind of a plug for my affiliate links. I just started those, as many of you may know if you've listened to this podcast before, but we'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. I actually don't even know if they're still for sale. Like I said, last I heard they were discontinued. But I don't know. They're just kind of neat for, well, there you go. That's their brand. So But yeah, you talked about the unboxing experience, and to me, for $39, the packaging was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You should see if you can hold it up. Do you have it with you there?
The box.
Yep, the box.
Yep.
Hold it
Yeah, I
up in
have
the
the box.
camera. For those of you who are listening, I'm sorry. I know you can't see this if you're in the car on a commute or
Oh.
something. But when you get home, check out what the box looks like because it's kind of cool packaging. And then on the inside, it
It
had,
had this underneath, and it fit into this, so
yep,
had this
and
on the
it
bottom.
had stickers with it. And what else did it have?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of had cool flip instructions.
Some sort of user guide and yeah, neat stickers.
Very cool. So for $39, I feel like you're getting a very good deal. And for me, I'm not a pro at hearing how audio is supposed to sound. I know in post when I get stuff into GarageBand or software like that, I can tell like, oh, this sounds a little bit different. I need to do a little bit of tweaking here and there, but just from the initial sound, it sounds very adequate, is what I'll say for it. So it's something also cool that it's just USB. You don't have to have an audio interface for it. Most computers have a
Mm-hmm.
USB port, so you can just plug it right in, and away you go. So
And it seems pretty heavy duty. I mean, like the cord that connects to my USB is really thick, and I mean, it
yeah,
seems solid.
it was
It's
surprising
got
to
some weight
me.
to it.
Yeah, it was actually just kind of surprising to me that for a $39 microphone, that it was able to have the cool packaging, and it seems very solid for what it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
for those of you listening, like I said earlier, we're kind of throwing this together, and I thought, Chelsey, I was going to ask you. We're kind of
Mm-hmm.
switching gears here. I was going to ask you what you thought my YouTube channel should be in the future. Because the way it is now, I do a lot of just talking in front of a camera in my shop, in my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And you know more than anybody. I hate sitting in one spot and
Mm-hmm.
just sitting. So I would like to, in the future, do something else. Obviously, I want to keep doing this on my YouTube channel, but I want to do something else a little bit more adventurous. Do you have any ideas for me on that front?
Like you mean outside of uh, like going out, like being out and about, or what are
Yes,
you thinking?
not
Yeah.
not in my studio.
Mm.
I've got a lot of ideas, to be honest.
Well,
Like,
yeah, because I mean, I feel like you have so many interests,
right?
and you do have quite a few interests that kind of go hand in hand. Like being out on the water, fishing and metal detecting and um, scuba diving, that kind of stuff. And I mean, I don't know, but you'd probably have to do it somehow different because there's a lot of people that do that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
No matter what I do, there's gonna be someone who's already into that
right.
niche on YouTube, and but that's fun for me also because I look at some of these big time YouTubers who are scuba divers or who go metal detecting in swim areas and stuff. And that's some things I already do. That's been a hobby of mine for a long
Mhm.
time. And so I could be able to, um, I think about creating a channel on just treasure hunting in rivers and lakes. And I think I've been doing this for a long time. I should just start filming it. And it's just kind of exciting to just sit back and think, oh man, I should do that, but I actually have to get out there and create stuff
Right.
while I'm doing it. And that's something that's been talked about a lot. It would be nice if YouTube had a feature so you could go to someone's channel and they could have a section on podcasting, a section on like sports, or a section on, so you're not just kind of streamlined into one specific topic. Because
Right.
the uh, I obviously, uh, after watching a lot of YouTube and having a lot of creators on my channel, the creators that make it and go big time, get big followings, have a specific topic that they like talking about. And for me, I know that podcasting, a lot of times the full interviews and stuff isn't what's getting the large amount of views on YouTube at this time. But it's something I enjoy doing. I really enjoy talking to these people and having you on as guests and my friends. So I'm going to keep doing that. But in order to grow in the future, get more subscribers, I think I'm going to have to branch out and do some of my other hobbies and make a few more videos that are not just interviews, but, kind of more adventurous. I like fishing. I like scuba diving. I like metal detecting. I like metal detecting while scuba diving. I like snorkeling, all that
And you
kind
have
of
to,
stuff.
and you also have to consider, we live in an area that the seasons change. So, you like things like ice fishing and things like that, but there's so much more to do in the spring and in the summer too. So you'd have to figure out what would I do in the winter seasons, and that would go
Ab-
along with that.
Absolutely. But on the same token, having all the seasons opens more opportunities. So
Yeah.
it would be fun to have a section on ice fishing. And,
Right.
the opportunities are endless. And it'd be fun to have a travel channel with you and the family just going around. I see a lot of people doing travel channels, and those are super interesting to me. I mean, cooking, there's just so many interests. How do you
I know.
possibly limit people to one specific topic? That's why I've heard many people talking about this, that if they were able to have, all their favorite things, and you even see that with big YouTubers, that a lot of them have multiple channels, and a lot of their other channels may not be performing as good as their main channel, but it's something they love. So they're continuing to create content for it. And
Mhm.
to me, a lot of times, some of those sub channels are a little more interesting than the actual huge channels that they create for. I mean,
Yep.
it's not the channels that they're making their money with, or things like that. It's just something they love, so they're putting all their effort into it. And I
Mhm.
think that's very important, to have people creating for fun and not just creating for money, because when you're just creating for money, usually the audience isn't as involved as they should be.
Yep. Well, even if you consider like all your past people that you've had on your podcast, there's such a wide variety and like a huge range of differences of what they do, but they're all people that you have an interest in and that you enjoy learning from, and you learn different things from them. You know what I mean? So it's not even just, you could tell that you love that. So you're doing something that interests you. It's just, yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world. When I started this podcast 66 episodes ago with the welcome and stuff, there's no way I thought I would have talked to the people I've been able to talk to. And the crazy part about it is a lot of them kind of become friends. I mean, after I have them on the show, we keep in contact, and it's been a lot of fun for me. I think it's kind of been fun for you, because it seems like
Mhm.
you kind of know these people through me, and it seems like everyone that I've had on has been awesome. So I haven't had anyone
Mhm.
who's been like, I've got off the interview and thought, oh man, I'm never going to ask that person again. Every time it's like,
Yeah.
man, that person was super awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait until the next time I get the opportunity to talk to them.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
well, any other topics you've been thinking about over the weeks? I know you're
For
swamped right
you?
now getting, or for you,
Oh.
we got to catch our community up with everything we've been up to. We had state baseball this past weekend. Didn't go the way we
Mhm.
wanted it to go. Not exactly what we had planned, but that's all
No.
right. We'll get them next year. You've got school coming up. Are you ready? First day of school tomorrow, and
I
she's willing
know.
to be on a podcast with me, and we're filming this at about 9 o'clock at night. So,
Yep.
for those of you listening, give this episode a like, because just for the dedication from Chelsey, because uh, that's uh,
Uh,
that's pretty nice to have. uh, for her to take time out of her day when she's got school tomorrow. So, are you ready?
Yep.
That's the main
Yeah.
question.
I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm taking it
Uh-oh.
one day at a
What
time.
about the rest of the week?
I'm taking it one day at a time. When you
Sounds good.
start, you gotta just take it day by day.
You gotta talk a little bit about your classroom too, because we did a whole episode on technology in the classroom. And last
Mhm.
time I was at your classroom, it looked like there's going to be some major upgrades for this year. You want to talk
Mhm.
about some of
And
that?
and I think we talked a little bit about it one of the other times I was on. Um yeah, so we're kind of getting away from the whole smart board, smart notebook thing, and which, that'll be a big difference because I did love it. I loved the interactive board, and so I'm not going to have an interactive board that my kids can come up and touch, but this will be the first year that actually every single kid in my room has an iPad. And so we all got smart TVs. And so yeah, I mean, they'll be able to throw things of theirs up onto my screen and do things that way. I'm a big, I love Seesaw, so we'll be using Seesaw a lot. We have new document cameras where we'll take our iPad and we can just like open up the camera and plop it on the document camera and it'll display anything below it up onto the TV. So it's gonna definitely be a big change. I haven't had a chance to play with it a lot, but um I'm sure it'll be fun. It'll be different, but it'll be fun.
The one thing I was most excited about when you were talking about the iPads at school was now the teachers have the ability to see what each student is looking at on their iPad, and you're able to take over what they're doing. Is that
Mhm. Yep, I can
what software is that using? Is that
I believe it's Apple Classroom, and
okay?
we haven't started using it yet. I'm wondering if Apple Classroom did some upgrades, and so they're wanting some of our teachers who have used it already to play around with it first before we get introduced to it and start using it. But the idea is that I can push things out to them, and I can see what they're doing, and I can like blank out all their screens if I need to. I can make it so only one kid is working. I mean, I think there's supposed to be many possibilities of things I can do.
See, that sounds awesome, and that sounds like something that would be very beneficial to parents.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems like, even when we're in the car, it seems like if a child had an iPad in the back and you wanted them doing something on their iPad or
Mhm.
watching something, that you could have control of that. That
Yep.
sounds pretty neat. And I love Apple products, and I've actually never heard of Apple Classroom. I don't know if it's something I just gloss over when they're talking about it on their
Mhm.
WWDC events or what, but I've actually never heard of it. Is that something you've been using for a long time?
I've never used it. It's an app of theirs you can get, the Classroom app. So I've never used it. I didn't download it, and they kind of discouraged us from downloading it just because they want to make sure that the kinks are all worked out before they have us start using it. Because I mean, I've just heard that when it works, it's amazing, and if for some reason it doesn't work, it's really frustrating. So they're going to kind of play around with it. Some veteran teachers that we have that have been doing it for a while, and then let us know then if it's something we can start using in our classroom. But I will say, and for people who don't know, I teach first grade, so that's pretty young to be having all this technology, and I just don't want people to think that that's all I use all day. I did use my smart board all the time to display things to my kids and to walk through different lessons with them and interactive things. But my kids won't be on an iPad all day. I mean, that's not like I have no plans to get out iPads tomorrow, just because reading and writing are so important and like crucial right now. So those are still big things that I do.
Man, I think back to
Just a
school and I think,
disclaimer.
yeah, I think back to school and I think, man, if I would have had an iPad, all the things I could have learned. And then at the same time, it's like the more and more I get into technology, the more and more I would like to get away from it, on
Mhm.
like weekends and stuff. It's like, it's so
Right.
much nicer to just go outside and go fishing, not even bring your cell phone. I think that's why one of my favorite fishing places it doesn't have cell phone reception. I think that's why it's one of my favorite places to fish,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're just away from it all. But at the same time, when I come home and I get down into my studio and I start editing on my computer and stuff, it's like, man, this stuff is so nice. I love having this equipment, and I love learning about new equipment. It's just
Yep.
fun for me. So,
Well, and it's really different though, when you take in I mean, when you think about these kids because like we grew up in a time where that wasn't we didn't have computers in our classroom. We didn't have all this stuff available, and if we did go to the computers, it wasn't something like we have now where a lot of this stuff these kids already have, and they've been working with it. So it's a part of their lives that they're like it's just like my kids are and I mean, I haven't worked with these kids. Tomorrow's the first day of school, but I think of previous classes I've had and kids are just fearless. They're not afraid to click something wrong, they will play around until they figure it out. And they will figure it out. I mean, I might walk my kids through something one time and they just remember it, like logging in, logging out, all this kind of stuff. I mean, the thing that takes them the longest time sometimes is just typing in like a username and password.
yeah. Well, I think back
But
to, I think we even touched on this in our podcast about technology that when we were younger and we'd go to the computer labs and we went to the same school and they had the old computers
mhm.
and the
The
floppy
new computers
disks and
then.
yeah, exactly. But
Yep.
when I think back, it was only like 20% of the time that we went to the computer lab that you actually got the program that you were trying to log into working before you had to
Mhm.
leave.
Yep.
So I can't imagine what kids nowadays think of having an iPad. And
I know.
I still don't have an iPad. I feel a little bit jealous of all these kids with this cool technology. And it
I
is
know.
cool that all the kids get to have one at school. So,
I did hear a teacher once though, and this has stuck with me, and I think it's really important. Like it's something I always consider when I think of incorporating technology into my lessons or what I'm going to do with it. And she said if you take something that could be done on paper and put it on like an iPad or a computer, it doesn't necessarily make it better or more engaging. You know what I mean? It's like unless what you're doing is exciting and different, it doesn't I mean, it's no better than just writing it down.
yeah,
So I want
I
it to
could see that.
be yeah, so like if I do use technology in my room, I want to do something different that I couldn't do if I just printed it from my computer and had them do it that way.
Right.
Because there
That
are
makes
things that I
sense.
do want them to do physically. So,
So, you got to answer this question for me because I know what my answer would be. Are you a little sick right now thinking summer's over?
yeah. I'm like really emotional, so we might not be able to talk about that. I like feel really choked up every time I think about it because I just love summer so much.
Yep.
And you know what? Once school starts, it's always fine,
Yeah,
but it's always those jitters of
by tomorrow night though, you'll think, "Man, we never left school." you know.
I know. I know. That's how it kind of has felt these last couple days because even though kids haven't come back, we've had in service, and I
Mhm.
did get to meet my kids, and every one of my kids came last night. I did get to meet them all, but yeah, it's just like, man, when I was complaining about those hot days outside this summer, I should have
Yep.
appreciated it more.
Yep.
So,
And that's one of the things I think of like, ugh. See, I don't
mhm.
even go to school anymore. I still have the same feeling you have about first day of school.
That's
Just
because
like,
you experience it through me too.
yeah, but I mean, I just
Mhm.
had that feeling every year, like, oh no, summer's over, and I enjoy
Yep.
baseball so much, and that meant baseball was over, and but at
Yep.
the same time, I loved football, and that meant football was
Yes.
starting. I'm excited for the college games, and I'm excited for the Minnesota Vikings to start up, but at the same time, when you think about tonight, and it's not a summer night, and it's a school night, that just doesn't
Wow.
sound like the same. Kind of
Oh,
enjoyment for me.
no.
But I'm glad you were honest because I bet some teachers would be like, "Oh no, I can't wait for the school year
Oh,
to
and
start."
I
And I
don't
know
want
I know you're super excited about
I
it,
am excited.
but at the
It's still
same time,
hard.
yep,
It's
it's
still hard.
tough.
'Cause I did, I asked so many of my kids yesterday if they were excited, and so many of them are excited because, they might not have seen a lot of their friends this summer, and I did have a couple that were honest and say, no, they weren't excited, and I said, "You know what? It is really sad that summer's winding down." Because once
Yep.
summer activities finish up, it's like, "Oh, man.
And I
It's
don't
it's
want to
almost
sound like I
here."
don't like school because I always
Right.
enjoyed school. I always had wonderful
Once it
teachers.
starts, it's fine.
Once it starts, it's fine. It's just knowing
Yep.
that it's not a summer night anymore. You can't
Yep.
stay up as late as you want. You
Well,
gotta
that's just
go
it,
to
yeah.
bed a little bit earlier. You gotta have a routine. You gotta,
Mhm.
get home, get your homework done before you can go out and do anything fun. It's just,
Yep.
yeah, but it makes you enjoy the weekends a little bit more.
Oh, for sure, and it does make me appreciate my summers even more. Because I do realize, like, how fortunate that makes me that I get to spend that time with my family, and so that's
Yep,
pretty
and I
big.
think back, it will be a little bit more relaxing because this summer we went on a lot of trips. I mean, it seemed like we
Mhm.
were in Minneapolis every other weekend. We went on two lake trips where we were gone for a week apiece. So I
Mhm.
feel like we've got our traveling out of the way, and now we can just kind of stay at home and enjoy um, getting some stuff done around the house. I guess a little bit,
Yes.
but. Well, I
Yeah.
suppose we should shift gears a little bit. Before we go, we better throw in a few would you rather questions. And
Oh, I'm not ready.
these would you rather questions have not been researched. They have not been written down. So I
Are
guess,
you just asking would you rather questions?
no, I think we have to go,
Oh.
let's go back and forth a couple times.
Oh, well, you have to
So
start
be
because I
careful what you
wasn't
say.
ready. I
So,
know. You have to start with asking first
all right.
because 'cause I'm not ready.
Okay. Would you rather have a Friday night during a school night, or would you rather have a Monday night on a summer night? If that makes any sense at all.
A Monday night on a summer night.
That's
No
easy for you because
question. No question, because
you
I
don't
don't have
have.
anything the next day.
Yep, yep. I would always choose summer, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just something different about it because you even feel like, "Oh, I can stay up so much later."
uh,
It's like when it's, like,
and
winter and it's
the big
dark,
thing is
it's
weather for me.
right,
I
exactly,
love the
weather,
hot weather. Yep.
but I even think of when it's gonna be winter and it's dark, like, when we get home, we feel like, "Okay, let's have supper," and then it's time to go to bed.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, that I'm not ready for that. I love
No.
the late summer nights where it's still a little bit light out, and you
Mhm.
can already
Mhm.
tell that it's getting darker earlier,
I
which is
know.
it is kind of
I
frustrating.
know.
And it's nothing like Alaska experiences or anything, but North Dakota it does get dark pretty quick. And
Yes,
um,
and
all
cold.
right, here's
Okay,
your would you rather
all right,
question.
my turn.
Yep. I feel like I should have
Okay.
like Jeopardy music or something ready. See, if I was a good producer of this podcast, I would have had, some background music and all sorts of stuff.
Okay. Would you rather um spend a weekend at like a quiet lake in Minnesota, or would you rather spend a weekend in the cities going to like all your favorite things? Like let's say there's a Vikings and a Twins
Mm.
game.
See,
Because I
that's
feel like
tough
we've
for
kind of
me.
had conversations like this, but yeah, that's
Tough for
hard.
me. Um, if I could go to the Twins game, if I could go to the Vikings game, I'd like to say that. But here's my dream scenario. I'm at a lake in Minnesota. I get to fish all day. I get to come back to the cabin and watch the Twins game on TV.
Ooh,
Yeah, that would be um,
yeah.
number one for me.
Yeah, there's just something about because I enjoy going to the cities. Our family loves going to the cities, so don't get me wrong there. Because we have so many fun things that we like to do there that we
Yeah,
look forward to, but there's just something different about driving into the Minnesota Lakes country. It's just
Yeah,
I
but
don't
the
know.
one thing I'm really disappointed with in Minneapolis, and our
I bet I
favorite
can
place.
tell.
Oh,
I know what
and
it is.
that Fuddruckers, one of our favorite places to eat, is now not open. And I talked to my
Mhm.
last guest, Kyle, about that because he's from Minneapolis. But that was so frustrating when we heard that because that was one of the go-to places. In fact, most often when we went to Minneapolis, and for those of you who don't know where we are from Minneapolis, it's about a 4 or 5 hour drive, so it's
Mhm.
a long ways. And we'd go to Minneapolis, and the first thing we would do before we did anything else, we'd go eat at Fuddruckers in Minneapolis, and
Mhm.
I would crave it. And then a lot of times we'd eat it again,
I know.
during the weekend. So
So if you have one near you, you're very lucky,
you're very
and we're
lucky. Yep.
jealous.
We're very jealous. So tell us where you have a Fuddruckers, and
Yeah. Maybe we'll
and
visit.
maybe we'll visit is right. And hopefully that one in Minneapolis, I keep thinking in the back of my mind, like, oh, maybe they're just getting a remodel and it's going to be opening up
Yeah,
soon and it's going to be better than ever. But hopefully that's the case. So
I
if
know.
anyone with Fuddruckers is listening, we want you back, especially in the
Yes.
Minneapolis area.
And if you have a Fuddruckers close to you and you haven't been to one, we highly recommend it.
Definitely go. Yep. My mouth is just watering thinking
I
about
know, I know.
the
Because even,
huge.
what was that, like, was that in the fall or something? My parents went on a trip to Sioux Falls, South
Yep.
Dakota, and then, you told them, "Hey, I think there's a Fuddruckers there," and they ended up eating there a couple times, and they were just
Yep.
there for a weekend too, but it's
I'm
just
trying
so
to think. If you
good.
haven't
It's like
eaten there, it's
burgers and fries, and it's just
yeah.
good.
But then you get to add all sorts of awesome toppings
Mhm.
after you get your burger. I think I'd order like a 3/4 pound burger and I'd load it with nacho cheese and lettuce and
Yes, the
pickles
nacho
and
cheese.
that salsa stuff. Oh man, it was awesome. But luckily, we still have Devani's. That's our other go-to place in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
I'm sure if you live in the Minneapolis area, you know all about that. If you're someone who visits Minneapolis, check it out. The subs are unreal. And actually,
Yep.
you get the salads, don't you?
Yeah, they have my absolute favorite salad of all time,
I
and
still
I
have never
wish that
tried it.
oh, it's so good, so good.
There's been times
And
I've went there where I've got I think their full sub is like a foot long, right? I think it's
oh,
about that
I mean,
size,
that
but
sounds right, yeah.
I'll get two of them. And it
Mhm.
seems like that bread and everything just melts in your mouth. It's
Yeah, but,
awesome.
like, the
So,
pasta's good, the pizza's good. I mean, it's all really good. And
man, if
then
we keep
we like a place in St. Paul that Cosetta's,
Cosettas,
but
yep, that's awesome too.
we haven't done that, um,
Yep, in a
we
while.
haven't
But
done that
next
one.
time we go, we're gonna have to make a point to go down there because that's
Yeah,
it's a little bit out of the way of
but
where we
that's
like to stay.
Italian
But
and
yep, it's also wonderful.
yep. So
Well,
we kinda got distracted by that would you rather question.
yeah, we did. Now, okay, would you rather uh, reverse the summer and go back
Mm.
and relive this one over again, or would you rather fast forward through this school year so you're at next year's summer?
Oh my. 'Cause there's nothing I'd, like, change.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything either. The th-
I
I
think to
think
relive it, because I also don't wanna, like, fast forward time.
exactly. Yep, that would be my choice too. Time is too valuable, our most
Yep.
valuable asset.
But
So,
to relive but not change.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
All right, that was kind of a throwaway one. It was too easy.
You knew, yeah. Hmm. My goodness. How many of these are we gonna do?
Let's
This
just
is hard.
you can do one more and then we'll
I'll
wrap
do
up
the
this
last one.
episode. Yep, you'll
Okay.
do the last one.
Okay.
Make it
Hmm.
good.
I know, I'm trying to think here. Well, this was just kinda goes with our whole conversation here. Would you rather have a Devani's close by or a Fuddruckers close by?
Right now I'd say Fuddruckers just because I haven't been able to have it.
Mhm.
But if they were both available, I'd probably want a Devani's because I feel like you can have subs there, you can have pizza there, you can have pasta
Mhm.
there. So there's
And
different
and
options.
yeah, and you've
And
said, I mean, because we live close to Fargo, just an hour
mhm,
away, and I never went to Fuddruckers growing up, but you've said there was a Fuddruckers there
there
when you were
was,
little,
and it was
and
amazing.
so, um, that's just kind of a bummer that there isn't, because I don't know why it wouldn't do well, and when we went in the cities, it was always busy,
Oh
so
yeah. And the other thing I think about with Devani's is I'd like to try some of the other things, but I love
mhm.
their subs so much that I'm never
Yes.
willing to throw away a meal to have one of their other
Yes.
items. So,
That's just it, and at
yep,
Fuddruckers, it's pretty much just burger and fries. There might be some other
right.
little things, but yeah, I agree
See, if
with
we
you.
had
That's a
if we
really
had one
good
of those
point.
around too, I'd get a little more adventurous. But since it's such a delicacy for us, I feel like I have to
Mhm.
have the exact same thing because I know I love it. It was such
Yeah.
a treat because when we went to Universal Studios, we were leaving
Mhm.
Universal Studios one night and we were super hungry because uh, I'm very cheap. I don't know if I've talked about that on the podcast before, but I am very stingy when it comes
Uh,
to spending money. So I
uh-huh.
was uh, okay with getting our Universal Studios tickets, going the entire day without eating, and then eating a big meal at night. So when we were leaving Universal Studios, I was absolutely starving, and just like a movie or something, in the clearing, a Fuddruckers appeared, and I was just like, this couldn't get any better. And
Mhm.
we ate there several times too when we were
Yep.
on that trip. So that's another thing
We
we could do a whole episode about is Universal
I
Studios. We've been
know.
there
And
once,
I think we've
and
talked a little bit before, haven't we,
I
on it?
think I think maybe a little bit, but I mean, you could do a whole
I
dedicated
know.
podcast to all the different areas, all the different rides.
Yeah.
It's a magical place. I absolutely loved it, every second of it.
Yep.
In
Yeah,
fact, we'd
yeah.
go from open to close, and I feel like at closing time I was disappointed. Like, oh, I could
Yeah.
keep going.
And then we would be out. Like, it would close, we'd go to the hotel, just out because 'cause you're exhausted. Because it was just so much fun.
It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of driving and
Mm.
stuff, and that's one of the things I would change about the trip is if we did it all over again, I wouldn't go with the $42 a night hotel. I'd probably spend a little bit extra money and go to a Universal
Mhm.
resort or something. It would be a lot more convenient, and I
Yes.
I seem to
I could
think
see the
that you
benefit of it that of
and I
that.
think you were telling me that too at the time when we were booking stuff, but I was just dead set I had to save every single penny. But
But it's an experience, so
it's an experience, yep. And you know what? I wouldn't change that trip for anything
no.
either because we had one day that was open, and on that one day there happened to be a rocket launch, and we were able to see that. And that's something that I never thought I'd be able to see in my
No.
lifetime. So that was a lot of fun
Mhm.
seeing that. And I think that rocket was supplying um,
Yes. To the space station, right?
space station. I think that's what it was for. So I
Yep.
don't.
Yeah,
There
it
was
didn't have. I don't think it was transporting
no.
people.
There was no passengers on it. It
No,
was
it was
just
just bringing
sending
supplies up.
equipment and supplies to the space station. So
Mhm.
still very cool. And
Yes.
it was fun because we went down there and we thought, oh, we had to go to the space center to watch this launch, but we ran into some people and they said, "Oh, watch it from what was the beach called?
Cocoa Beach.
Cocoa Beach." And it was fun because we were able to see the rocket launch, and then we were able to go eat on a pier, and that
Okay,
was one of the best meals I've ever had.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, I'm sure people listening are be like, "Man, you guys just revolve around
All you think about is
restaurants."
food. You need
But
to start a
but
food channel.
but we went to this pier and we both had this sandwich and they made their own fries, like weird kind of fries. And we talk about that all the time. We
All the
talk about
time.
that meal all the time.
I wish I could give a
Um,
shout out to whoever it is that has that place, but I don't even know what the place was
I
called.
feel like I've found it. I've like kind of like weeded through it because it's right on Cocoa Beach. But anytime we hear of someone going to Florida, we tell 'em, you should go eat at this
Yeah.
pier on
And
Cocoa Beach.
and I remember how disappointed we were when we went there because we saw so many people with breakfast that looked great.
Yes,
And
and it
we
had
sat
just
down,
stopped.
we got our menus, and they're like, "Oh, no, the breakfast isn't being served anymore." And we're like,
Yep.
should we go somewhere else? What should we do? We ordered that lunch, and it did not
Yeah, it
disappoint.
was just a sandwich but it was like it was an awesome meal. We could do a whole episode on just restaurant um recommendations for people, Preston.
Uh, do you think we should have a YouTube channel? You and I just traveling the world. We could have the travel stuff. We
Perfect.
could have all the little hobbies along the way, and then we could review
Uh-huh.
restaurants.
Yes. And we
Get
could have people tell us, yeah, you need to eat here. And then
get
we'll
Chelsey and Preston's seal of approval or
Mhm.
something. I like the way this is sounding. So
I know, cause man, that sounds like a big part of what we enjoy doing. So
we must be hungry tonight or something.
I
But
know, cause that sounded so good. Wow.
well, I want to thank everyone for hanging with us. If you've made it through this whole episode, you guys are champions. I really love all of the people listening. I got to give a special shout out to my cousin Stacy, who I guess is a listener to the podcast, and she is a big fan of yours, Chelsey. So I got to have you on here more so I can get more listeners, I guess, because you're the fan favorite. So this has been a lot of fun, a very fun episode because it was so unscripted. There
Mhm.
was nothing written down. I've got a table full of old notes from previous podcasts. Chelsey's upstairs. This is the first time she's ever used her new microphone. If you guys liked how it sounded, let me know. I'm curious to see how it sounds once I get it into an audio processing software. And if you want to find a link to that, I'll put an affiliate link in the show notes or in the description of the video. Tonight's video podcast probably won't be up for a couple days, so if you're listening to this and you're heading on over to YouTube, it might take me a couple days to get it up there just because we've been super swamped. I've been doing a lot of drone jobs, which is a good thing, but it kind of makes it hard to get everything put together for the podcast. So if you think this is an episode that had way too much stuff in it, you're probably right. But I had fun doing it. Chelsey, thank you so
Mhm.
much for being on the show, especially on school night number 1. It's going to be fun to have you on again when it's the last day of school the next night.
Mhm.
We'll have to plan a podcast when we do final day of school celebration or something
Yes.
like that on here with everybody. So thanks again. Man, I haven't done a podcast in so long. The past few episodes have been pre-recorded that I'm trying to think like, oh man, I've got the ending coming up. What buttons am I supposed to push on the stream deck? And I looked down. Luckily, I made little icons that say end on it. So thanks again for listening. We, we both appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you next week.